Well, Nelson Mandela is dead, and of course he died at 95. Interesting guy, and I'll tell you, there's many, many reasons he's interesting. He was a lawyer. This guy was not a simple man. He was a very complex person. He was a lawyer, and he was fascinated by Gandhi, as well as Martin Luther King Jr., and he was fascinated by the fact that in a country like America, where the black population is a minority, they could still hold public office and be elected to high post in the U.S. Senate at the time. And he lived long enough to see Obama voted in as president of the United States. So he saw all this happen. He was in prison for 27 years, essentially in isolation on Robben Island, just off the shore of South Africa, for political insurrection and all that kind of stuff, for life, plus many years. And it took a great effort on the part of the United Nations and many other nations, plus the United States, of negotiations and blocking the international business of South Africa to put pressure on them to release Nelson Mandela after 27 years. Well, during the 27 years he was incarcerated, he wasn't fed bologna and white bread like they are fed here in prisons in the United States. He was allowed to have a garden. He had a little wood stove by which he heated himself. He didn't have gas or electricity, anything like that. He had a little wood stove. And as all peoples do, tribal people do, in South Africa, he put the wood ashes in his garden, so he got his minerals in that fashion from the wood. Then the wood ashes, which went in his garden, he grew his own vegetables, cabbage and carrots and beets and stuff like that, turnips. And he also was able to get fresh fish because he lived on an island. Even though it was prison, he got fresh fish all the time. So he got omega-3s, he got minerals. And then when he got out, he and the premier of South Africa, the white premier of South Africa, jointly shared the Nobel Peace Prize because when he was released, he could have been a force for evil. He could have been really messed up mentally and decided he was going to take revenge on the small white population who'd been in control for 400 years in South Africa and eliminate them all, export them, hang them, whatever. But instead, he embraced them, he loved them, and protected them and made sure that nobody bothered them. And he forgave them for what they did to him. Now, very interesting guy, because the last 20 years of his life, he was using the Youngevity minerals. One of our distributors from Atlanta, Georgia, sent him the minerals every month, and he used, for the last 20 years of his life, he used the Youngevity plant-derived minerals, which I'm sure contributed to his health and his longevity. And so we're very, very happy about that. Now, everybody who either is part of the black community or who works for the black community, I want them to get a hold of the Black Gene Lies book. It was actually commissioned by Creflo Dollar, a great pastor from Atlanta, Georgia, whom I've spoken at his church many times. And he actually had made a professionally produced DVD set of two of my presentations there, and it was in a guest box and everything, so you can contact your Youngevity associate for the presentations I did at the World Changers Church in Atlanta, Georgia, for Pastor Creflo Dollar. Was able to help his daughter with very severe asthma, was able to relieve her of that, and he, of course, not only he takes the 90 essential nutrients, but he uses the Rebound, since he puts on two very active, large services every Sunday, so he uses the Rebound as kind of his fluid replacer instead of just plain water. And we have two CDs. One was actually an interview on a radio station, a black radio station, talk show station in Atlanta, Georgia. The other one was a presentation that I gave at his church to the men's fellowship there at the church. About 800 black men attended. And then, of course, he subsidized the publication of the book Black Gene Lies. He wanted to know everything that was thought to be genetically transmitted in the black community that really wasn't. There was really nutritional deficiencies, and he wanted it all put in one book. And so if you look in the acknowledgments, he and his church are credited with the publication of that book, Black Gene Lies. And so we're really very grateful to Pastor Dollar, who we still work with. And, of course, we're very grateful for the distributors in Atlanta who sent our plant-derived minerals to Nelson Mandela and contributed to his health and longevity and to his being able to be functional both mentally, spiritually, and physically after 27 years in isolation prison on Robben Island. But it wasn't a simple thing because, again, here's a very intelligent man, educated, and he was forced to use wood as fuel for not only heat but also cooking and this sort of thing. And he put the wood ashes in his garden. The wood ashes are minerals, of course. They're not really ashes. They're plant minerals that the trees suck up out of the ground. And then he took these plant minerals, a.k.a. wood ashes, put them in his garden, and then ate these vegetables that, I'm sure his vegetables and melons that had sucked up these minerals, and he got his minerals in that fashion, and benefited health-wise, both physically and mentally and emotionally from it, because your brain, in all its functions, whether it's motor function, sensory function, or also thinking, memory, these sorts of things, are all based on nutrition and metabolism. And so the brain requires a wonderful stream, a constant stream of nutrients to be able to function properly and, think like a human has a capacity to think. And, of course, I believe that if there's anything that will, over the years, mark Nelson Mandela, is that even though he was in prison for 27 years, he actually made good friends with the guards who watched over him in the prison system. They actually liked him because he was intelligent and could play chess with them and so forth. And he came out and he did great things and shared the Nobel Prize with the Prime Minister of South Africa, the white Prime Minister, the Nobel Peace Prize. How good is that? We'll be back with more Truth, Justice, and the Youngevity Way on Dead Doctors Don't Lie after these messages. Okay, Doug, what pearls of wisdom do you have for us?
I thought we might talk a bit about drugs today, as I've got a Fox News story here headlined, "Are You Getting Pain Meds You Don't Need?" And they talk about OxyContin and Vicodin and Percocet. They're all opiates. Say they can make the agony of surgery or cancer more bearable, but they do come with some serious risks, namely addiction and death. And I think death's probably the most severe reaction.
Death is a pretty bad risk.
Yeah. They go on to say health experts have repeatedly warned about the overuse of these drugs. However, a new report raises questions about whether doctors are listening to this, as findings from researchers at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center in Boston analyzed records of more than 1 million patients hospitalized for reasons other than surgery, finding that more than half were given some opiate pain medication such as codeine, morphine, or oxycodone. Of these, 1/4 received an equivalent of 100 milligrams of morphine at one time, enough to pose the risk of overdose, according to the study author, Dr. Shoshana Herzig. The study doesn't actually assess whether these doses were needed or not. However, the high rate suggests that at least some probably weren't. They say doctors have good reason, though. The national medical organizations, such as the AMA, have instructed them to treat pain as a vital sign, just like blood pressure or heart rate. And according to Dr. Herzig, and they go on to say, no physician wants a rep as someone who ignores suffering, and that comes from Dr. Kenneth Candido, an anesthesiologist at Advocate Illinois Masonic Medical Center in Chicago. Say no stethoscope or lab test can measure pain, so doctors typically rely on the patient to give a 1 to 10 scale on the pain. Everyone experiences pain differently, some tolerating it better than others, according to Candido. He says, more often than not, patients exaggerate their pain, sometimes on purpose, to get more of the numbing, mind-altering effects of these drugs. So once again, it's the patient's fault. The high doses may also stem from patients failing to tell their doctors about prescription or illegal drugs they take at home. If the doc doesn't know, he may be more likely to write a script. He said you should tell your doc of habits at home. Drugs like Valium or even heavy drinking can interact dangerously with narcotics. He said, know this, if your pain is so searing you can't tolerate it and milder drugs don't help, opiates are your best choice. But often that's not the case. They say protect your own health with these guidelines, and they list some guidelines on knowing whether you should have these opiates or not. They say ask your physician if there's a pain doctor at the hospital or clinic that you're at. They're well-versed in using these narcotics and often can offer alternatives to pain relief, such as distraction techniques. Some doctors assume that if you're in the hospital, you're in severe pain. Many cases, things like ibuprofen may actually work better because it treats swelling and inflammation. And they say about 1/4 of all patients in the study got a dose of opiates on the day they left the hospital, suggesting they walked out with a prescription. Before you fill it, they say check it through the state database to make sure that your doctor didn't OD you.
Well, yeah. In fact, there was a survey that came out in 2006. This is an annual number, Doug. When it comes to prescription mistakes, from decimal point problems for overdosing by the prescribing doctor and the fulfillment problem by the pharmacist when they have to compound things, is 1.5 million deaths and permanent injuries each year in America alone. 1.5 million deaths, fatalities, and permanent injuries attributed to decimal point errors by the prescribing physician and by the fulfilling pharmacist. Now, each year in America, I think it's something like 20,000 people die from street drugs. Let's see, 20,000 die from street drugs, 1.5 million die and have permanent injuries from prescription drugs. Hello, we have a problem here, Houston. Thank you so much, Doug, for bringing that one to the front. Stick with us. We'll be back with more Truth, Justice, and the Youngevity Way on Dead Doctors Don't Lie after these messages.
Let's head to the District of Columbia, and Michael, you're on with Dr. Wallach.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we have a friend, lady who has experienced for the last several months some blockage, partial hearing problem on one ear, and she says she thinks that the other ear may be a kind of strange sensation. It might be wanting to do the same thing.
Sure. How old is your friend?
She's 62.
Okay. Now, I probably already know the answer to this, but it's good for our listeners to hear it. Do you know if she has any dental problems, receding gums, gingivitis, periodontal disease? Do you know if she has any arthritis or back problems?
I don't know for sure about the dental. She's had a few teeth taken out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a dental problem.
I think she has to get a filling. Actually, presently, she's waiting to do that.
What about back problems and joint problems?
She doesn't have joint problems that I know of, but she did recently order. She's supposed to open up this pack. I think it's the pack. I'm trying to remember the name
Healthy
now.
Bone and Joint Pack?
Yes, I think that's one.
Okay,
and,
yeah, well, the reason why I ask about her dental history and her joints, her back, is because when people have a gradual loss of hearing, one of the main reasons, of course, is osteoporosis of the skull. There's 12 pairs of cranial nerves, and the 8th cranial nerve has two main branches. The auditory branch, which deals, as the name implies, sound and hearing, and the vestibular branch, which deals with balance and that sort of stuff. And when you have osteoporosis of the skull, as you lose minerals in all bones, including the skull, the bones try to compensate by generating bone matrix, which is kind of like the rebar of the bone, is tendon-like material, but it actually adds width and mass to the bone, not minerals. And the tunnel that these nerves go through gets smaller, the diameter gets smaller, and they begin to impinge on those nerves and cause symptoms. When you have a squeezing of the 7th cranial nerve, the facial nerve of the brain, when you have osteoporosis of the skull, you get Bell's palsy. When you get a squeezing of the 5th cranial nerve coming out of the brain, when you have osteoporosis of the skull, you get trigeminal neuralgia. When you have a squeezing of the auditory branch of the 8th cranial nerve coming out of the brain, you actually will get tinnitus, ringing in the ears. You might ask her, does she ever complain about ringing in the ears at all?
She does. I forgot that.
Okay.
She does, yeah.
Okay, good. That's good. That goes along with it. That means she has osteoporosis of the skull. Now, hang on. We got to run one of those information moments. We'll come back, and we'll give you a program for her. Okay, Doug, we got to go back to D.C. And Michael. Okay, how much does your friend weigh again?
I think she's just very thin. She's a little bit under 100 pounds.
Okay, so let's say about 100 pounds. All right. Shar?
Yes.
Yeah, this gal's about your size, and she has osteoporosis of her skull and probably other parts of her body, and she's gradually losing her hearing. What would you do for her?
Well, temporarily she can put the CM cream in her ears to get temporary relief, but she needs the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack.
Good. Very good. One of those. Yep, you're exactly right. I've had people who are like in their 80s. They've had tinnitus ringing in their ears for like 25 years, very disruptive. They put that CM cream down in their ear with a Q-tip, like a motion like they're trying to get wax out of their ear. And within 10 minutes, the inflammation subsides around the roots of that auditory branch of the eighth cranial nerve, and the tinnitus went away for the first time in 25 years. And just in 10 minutes. Of course, it gradually comes back in 3 to 4 hours because it's just a temporary relief. But when you take the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack, as Shar suggests, what's going to happen is this will, and I can legally say, support and promote maintenance and repair of cartilage, ligaments, tendons, connective tissue, disc between the vertebrae, bone matrix, bone itself, and the tinnitus will permanently go away and the hearing can come back. Okay, and so at 100 pounds, I'd have her take one Healthy Bone and Joint Pack per month, but I'd have her get an extra quart of the Osteo FX Plus, and I'd have her get an extra bottle of the Glucogel too. That way she can take another ounce of the Osteo FX Plus at bedtime with a glass of water. I know, Shar, you do that, don't you?
I do.
Okay, and does it help you sleep also?
It does. I can't sleep without it.
Very good. And you didn't get a CPAP machine and get surgery, did you?
Oh, no. Because dogs and humans all have sleep apnea the way they describe it because it's a normal sleep pattern.
Well, very good. Well said. And then, of course, the CM Cream, one comes with every Healthy Bone and Joint Pack. Wouldn't hurt for her to have another one on hand. But, this is a fixable problem. You have to treat it as osteoporosis of the skull. Of course, the benefit of this is not only can she resolve the osteoporosis of her skull and the symptoms of tinnitus, ringing in the ears, as well as the gradual hearing loss, but also this same program will support and promote maintenance repair of all her cartilage, ligaments, tendons, connective tissue in her joints all over her body, as well as the disc between her vertebrae. Give us a call every couple of weeks. If you would, Michael, give us a progress or lack of progress report. We'll walk you guys through this because this is a fixable situation. Okay, Doug, we have time to start another one?
Yes, we do. Let's head to Foley, Alabama. And Jackie, you're on with Dr. Wallach.
Oh, Jackie, you're on the air.
Hi, Doctor.
Hi.
I have a 29-year-old son who is epileptic. Now, he's been having seizures since he was 10 years old. The doctors do not know why. They've done brain surgery on him twice, and nothing helps. He's on 5,000 milligrams of medication per day, and he still has seizures. And on top of this, he's a type 1 diabetic.
Okay, well, hang on. We got to run one of those message moments. We'll be back with a program for you after these messages. Okay, Doug, let's go right back to Alabama and Jackie. Let me ask you a couple of quick questions here, Jackie. Do you or your son have any skin problems, any eczema, dermatitis, psoriasis, or rosacea?
No.
Okay, did he have his appendix out?
Yes.
Okay, we have a bingo. Did he have asthma as a kid?
No.
Okay.
His appendix taken out after the seizures and stuff started.
Okay, that's fine. That still counts. Still out.
Okay.
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 And do you have any brothers and sisters that have asthma or skin problems?
No.
Okay. Do you have any other children other than your son?
I have a daughter who I don't know she doesn't live with me, so I don't really know what her medical problems is. But apparently she has quite a few.
Okay, but as a child, she had some problems, did she?
Well, she just seemed to be allergic to everything.
Sure. Okay. Well, you have a gluten intolerance. Your son has a gluten intolerance. A lot of the reasons why some of his medications don't work is because he's not absorbing them. Okay, so he needs to get off of all gluten. You need to be free of gluten. If he has a dog or a cat in the house, they got to be on gluten-free food, preferably canned food, because it's very difficult to get gluten-free dry dog food and cat food because they process them on machinery that does process wheat products. And so it's imperative that everybody in the household, including the bird and the fish and the cat and the dog and their neighbors and everybody who lives in that household, is gluten-free. Then, what does this young fellow weigh?
He weighs 215 pounds.
Okay. All right. Now, is he functional? Does he have a job and work and so on?
No, he can't work. They say that because he has seizures, he's a liability, so they won't let him work. And if he had a job, we couldn't afford his medication.
Okay. Well, we may have something for him to do at home. I mean, I'm sure he knows how to work a computer and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, we should be working with him at home, and he can actually run a longevity business and help other people. Okay. That'll be good for him. So what you want to do is, if somebody got you going into if you're taking longevity products yourself, you can sponsor him. If you haven't, hang on, and Doug will get you routed to somebody in your area. Okay.
Okay.
But so gluten-free. Then what I would do at 215 pounds, ideally, he would have 2 healthy heart and brain packs per month. That's going to give him all the nutrients necessary for his brain and his heart. And so I would go that direction, 2 healthy heart and brain packs per month. Now, if that's a financial burden because he can't work, then what you want to do is at least get him 1 and divide it in half, give him a half a dose of everything at breakfast, half in the afternoon. Certainly, you do not want to cold turkey him off of medication. Reducing the medication for his seizures, Dilantin or phenobarb or anything else he's using, that would have to be done by the person who prescribed the medications, okay? Then, let's see here. I would also give him what we call de-stress capsules. I have him take 3 of those twice a day. It's for the metabolism of the brain. That'll be 2 bottles a month. Because he's a type 1 diabetic, I would throw in what we call sweeties. Now, if he's a true type 1 diabetic, we can make his quality of his life better. He can manage his life considerably better. He'll only have to check his blood sugar once or twice a day instead of 6 or 8 times a day. We'll be able to significantly reduce the amount of medication he takes, the amount of insulin, by adding the sweeties to his program. And I'd have him take at his weight. I'd have him take 3 twice a day. That'd be 2 bottles a month. And I, urge him, and he's used to it, to continue taking his blood sugars before he medicates himself, because his blood sugar will drop. Even as a type 1 diabetic, his blood sugar will respond to this program, but he does not make any insulin if he's a true type 1 diabetic, which would then require him to continue taking some insulin forever. Now, sometimes they're not a type 1, although doctors claim they are, because they give them pills and it doesn't work. They give them insulin and they can help control it. But that's because they couldn't absorb the pills. And so sometimes when you get on a gluten-free diet, they're able to suddenly now absorb stuff orally, and suddenly now they're not a type 1 diabetic anymore. Not that they had type 1, but they were misdiagnosed, okay? So call us every couple of weeks. Let us know how he's doing, and we'll walk you guys through this. Okay, Doug, let's go to callers.
Let's head to Columbus, Ohio. And John, you're on with Dr. Wallach.
Oh, John, you're on the air.
Yes, sir, Doc. How are you?
Oh, I'm very fine, thank you. How can we help you today?
Very good. I was calling. I saw the presentation at Mrs. Wright's house, and some things that was mentioned. I have on dialysis 3 days a week, and I have congested heart failure and a little blood pressure problem. I just wondered what product should I be taking to try to solve that. I understand someone, I guess, was taking it and didn't have to do dialysis for a while, got off of it, period.
That's right. Okay, well, what do you weigh, John? What do you weigh?
What do I weigh?
Yes, sir.
166 now, I think it is.
Okay.
I was heavier than that, but I lost the weight, yes.
Okay. Well, 166 is good enough. Okay, Shar, you know how to deal with this, so I want you to listen to Shar here. Write things down. What would you do for John here? He's got congestive heart failure, kind of like Pastor Kreider had. He has high blood pressure, and he's on dialysis.
Okay. Well, he needs, for the congestive heart failure, he needs the de-stress. For the diabetes, he needs the sweeties. And for the everything else, he needs the Ultimate Daily. I would put him on the healthy blood sugar pack, probably, and add the Ultimate Daily and the de-stress to that. And he needs 2 of them. He needs 2 packs.
Okay, now, John, do you have diabetes?
Yes, I have.
Okay. All right. So Char's exactly right. Because you're closer to 200 pounds than you are 100 pounds, ideally, if finances aren't a problem for you, you would take 2 healthy blood sugar packs per month. That will allow you to have 1 ounce of the Osteo FX Plus at breakfast and dinner, 2 scoops of the Beyond Tangerine Nutri-Crystals at breakfast and dinner, 3 of the EFA Pluses at breakfast and dinner, and 3 of the Sweeties twice a day, breakfast and dinner, 3 at breakfast, 3 at dinner. You want to take your fasting blood sugar in the morning before you medicate yourself. And then, because you have congestive heart failure, as Shar points out, you want the de-stress capsule 3 twice a day, 3 at breakfast, 3 at dinner. There's 2 bottles a month. And congestive heart failure is a deficiency. 99% of the time, it's a deficiency of a single vitamin, and we've known this since the late 1700s. It was discovered by a Japanese naval surgeon. And congestive heart failure responds extremely well to the de-stress capsules. And then dialysis and high blood pressure are kind of related. And so we've had people who were on dialysis for 65 years. And just in a couple of weeks' time, they were urinating for the first time in 65 years. And then after another couple of weeks, they're able to wean off their dialysis. So this is the Ultimate Daily Tablets, as Shar mentioned. And I would have you take, 3 of those. Let's start out with 3 twice a day. We can move up if we need to, but let's go with 3 twice a day as 1 bottle a month, 3 at breakfast, 3 at dinner. And that's designed to support and promote healthy blood flow through obstructed blood vessels. When you have kidney failure on dialysis, almost always there's nothing wrong with your kidneys. It's actually blocked arteries. And so this is important to get blood flowing, to get the dirty blood of the filtering units, and also designed to support and promote healthy blood pressure. Call us every couple of weeks, John. We'll walk you through this. This sounds not only manageable, but a lot of it reversible. We'll be back after these messages. We're back with Dead Doctors Don't Lie on the ZBS Radio Network. Dr. Joel Wallach here for Youngevity, 90 for Life Crusade. And Doug, let's go to callers.
Let's head to San Jose, California. And Carl, you're on with Dr. Wallach.
Oh, Carl, you're on the air.
Hi, Dr. Wallach. How are you?
Okay, sir. Thank you. How can we help you?
Yes, our daughter, she's 6-year-old, was diagnosed with an FSGS nephrotic syndrome in August. And they treated her with prednisone. Then we got on about 18 to 20 pulses of Sotomedrol at 700 milligrams. And then got on Cytoxan for a couple of weeks, and she got so weak. And we just been seeing her health going down. Initially, her creatine was at 0.9, and as time passed by, now she's at 3.75. And her cholesterol's in the 600s. We just desperately need help to help reverse her. Her kidney is about stage 4, 17 GFR.
Yes, I can tell by her 3-point-something creatinine. Yep, you get up to 5 or 6, you got to get dialysis, right?
Yes, and we want to avoid that any way possible.
Okay, good. Sure. Okay, now does she have any skin problems, any eczema, dermatitis, or psoriasis?
Sorry?
Does she have any skin problems?
No, she has edema. She has. She also recently, last round we went to the hospital, she came out with anemia. She has anemia.
Okay.
And it was she had an infection of streptococcus infection in her body, and they told us her I think the blood filtration ESR rate was 120, was really high.
What's her blood sugar?
Blood sugar. Let's see, glucose was normal. Glucose was normal.
All right. What does she weigh?
She weighs about 55 pounds. She weighed 24.8 kilograms.
Okay. All right. Well, first of all, we need to get rid of all the bad stuff, okay? No bad stuff. No fried foods, no processed meats, no deli slices, no sandwich meats, no sausage, ham, bacon, bologna, salami, pastrami, all that stuff. It's got to go. She cannot have any oils, no margarines, mayonnaise, salad dressings, cooking oils. She cannot have any gluten, no wheat, barley, rye, or oats. Everybody in the household, including you, the mom, grandma, brothers and sisters, the dog, the cat, the fish, the bird, everybody in the household has got to be gluten-free. Actually important here to maximize her absorption of nutrients and also any medication she might need. Then, at 55 pounds, I'd have her take, I'd start her out with what we call Tropical Plus. I would give her a half ounce a day, okay, a half ounce a day, which is a tablespoon a day. She get of the Tropical Plus, and I would give it to her like a teaspoon and a half at breakfast and a teaspoon and a half at dinner time. That'll be that tablespoon a day of the Tropical Plus. And I would give her 2 of the EFA Pluses a day. They're soft gel capsules that have the omega-3s in there. And 2 of those a day, 1 at breakfast, 1 at dinner. And extremely important here for kidney function and edema and blood flow through obstructed arteries and so forth, which contribute to kidney failure. I would have her take, start her out with one Ultimate Daily tablet a day. Do that for 2 weeks and then call me, let me know what's going on. I would break it in half, give her a half of one at breakfast, half of one at dinner time. And if we don't have any hiccups, or which I don't anticipate any, but I would start her out with one a day, break it in half, give her a half of one at breakfast, the other half at dinner time. We go along for 2 weeks and everything's running fine. And I'd have her take 2 a day. But let's do for 1 week, let's do one a day, a half of that one at breakfast, half of one at dinner time. And that's designed to support and promote healthy blood flow through obstructed arteries, which happens when you have kidney failure and nephrotic syndrome. And then also it should help support a healthy creatinine level, get her down more towards 0.3, 0.4, somewhere in there is where I like it. And let's see what we can do here. Some of that weight's going to be water weight. If she's 55 pounds, she may only be really 40 pounds, the rest of it fluid, but we'll go with the 55 pounds. But do call us in 2 weeks after you get started. You're welcome to call anytime, certainly, but let's do what we can as quickly as we can. Well, thank you so much, Shar. Great input. Thank you so much, Doug and Billy. Superlative job as usual. God bless each and every one of you. God bless our troops. God bless our Navy SEALs. And God bless America.